We've been filming videos on Gears and Gasoline since April 2015. Over the years, we've gotten a few people asking us what cameras we film with. So we decided to make this video to show you all the camera gear that we use to make our videos. So this is a video focused more on those that are interested in videography. If that's not interesting to you, you should probably skip this week and come back next weekend. But if you're at all curious on what cameras that we shoot with, stick around. So the first piece of camera equipment that I'm going to share with you guys is not actually a camera, but my laptop. We actually both edit on a laptop. We have two laptops. It's very important for us to edit on the go. I realize a desktop computer would be able to get a lot more editing done more efficiently and stuff like that, but we're constantly turning around like next day edits for stuff like that when we're traveling, and it's important to have a laptop with us to do that. But it does the job pretty well. I only get frustrated with it like on Mondays and Tuesdays. Other than that, everything else seems fine. Also, when I'm home, I do have a 4K 28-inch monitor. Just nice to have the extra screen space. You might have noticed behind me, we have like 1 billion hard drives. We don't use any kind of fancy storage system. We just use hard drives because it's convenient, it's cheap, it works, and also it's portable. So there are 4 terabyte hard drives, each of them. I added up at one point how many we have. We probably have close to 100 terabytes at this point. And we're just gonna keep racking them up. We do have redundancy of stuff that we film. That way, if one hard drive fails, we're still okay. But we don't have a fancy RAID system or anything like that. Just like $100 hard drives from Walmart. Our next piece of camera gear is probably the most talked about piece of camera gear, and that is our stabilizer. This is a Movi M5. It's a 3-axis gimbal, so you put the camera in the bottom there, and you can move it around and it keeps the camera steady. It's probably our most distracting piece of camera gear. Just about everybody that walks up to us in a public setting will ask us all sorts of questions about it. And yes, it is carbon fiber. No, it doesn't weigh that much, and yeah, I guess it's expensive. It's $2,700. We used to film with a Ronin, which is I think like $1,000 now, which is substantially cheaper. I wouldn't say this is $1,700 better, but it is a little bit smoother than the Ronin. At least I like it a little bit more. It's less run and gun. The Ronin M is a little easier to like pick up and go. This thing's got like a 10-15 second boot up time, which is kind of annoying. It's a nice piece of gear to get some smooth shots. We have a small HD focus monitor attached to it, which is a very lightweight monitor. It's like 720p output or something like that, but you kind of need that up there when you're filming because you can't see your camera down low. So it's important to have that monitor on top. And then, yeah, obviously that's this rig. It's kind of a mess, as you can tell. So driving on some back roads now. Ben is in the back of the Forester with the Ronin shooting the M3. Really, I just set cruise control to, a speed, and just he'll play around with the M3, tell him to speed up or slow down. Yeah, he'll just play around with different angles and stuff, get some rolling shots. All right. What camera do we shoot with? We shoot with Panasonic cameras. We use the Panasonic GH5. We have 2 of them, which is kind of the main rigs that we use. It's a great bang for the buck. They're like $2,000, maybe a little less than $2,000 right now, and they shoot 4K at 60 frames per second, which is awesome. They're not a full frame camera, which a lot of people complain about. They're a micro 4/3 sensor, which is a lot smaller sensor. It's really good for trackside stuff because it gives you more zoom than a full frame sensor would give you. And we also use a Metabone speed booster with the camera, which kind of brings that zoom range back out for some of the wider stuff, and it gives it an extra stop of aperture. And I've already lost you because that's really boring. But that's what we use. GH5. We also have a couple GH4s. This is what we used to shoot with. These are pretty much relegated to being mounted in race cars, and they're basically used as GoPros. They get banged around a lot now. This one, as you can tell, the back lens is cracked, but still workable, still usable. It's basically a GoPro. The GH5 is a good camera, but it's getting a little bit old at this point. So for 2019, we're probably gonna look at some other camera options. So hopefully we can kind of improve in our quality for you guys with a new camera. Moving on, we've also got some GoPro cameras. There's absolutely nothing special about these. In fact, they're really annoying because they're glitchy. Like, I've hit record, put it into a race car, and then it comes back and it's not recording. It's very annoying. Hero 4, a Session, and a Hero 5. So again, nothing special. They do get beat up quite a bit, so it's kind of nice that we don't have like the cutting edge, newest and nicest GoPros. So they do the job. They're all broken in different ways, but you have to have them. Lenses. We have a few, but mostly we use Canon lenses. Because we have the Metabone Speed Booster, it also converts from a Panasonic mount to a Canon mount, which Canon's like the most popular types of lenses. So that's what we use. Our favorite lens is this 18-35. It's a 1.8 aperture, gives it that nice depth of field. It's pretty good for low light, and it's just about the right focal length for most of the stuff that we shoot with. We also use a 24-105, which is what you're looking at right here. That lens is on the camera. We also have this 70-200. This is like our trackside lens. Definitely our most expensive lens. It's a 2.8 aperture version 2. It's like $2,000 or something like that. We bought it used because we're cheap, but it does the job pretty well. Definitely our like go-to track lens. And then we have a couple other miscellaneous lenses that aren't used so much, some wide angles and some Panasonic lenses, but they're a little cheaper, so we don't use them too frequently unless we have to. We do put some filters on our lenses. We usually use just a polarizer to reduce some of the reflections and stuff like that, especially filming cars most of the time. A lot of reflections on cars, so polarizers are nice for that. So as far as audio recorders go, we actually have pretty cheap audio recorders. Right now we're using a Zoom H5. We mount this on the back of cars to get like that exhaust sound and stuff like that to dub over our rolling shots. So that's what this is used for a lot. But then what we use for interviews and stuff like that is this like really cheap Sony audio recorder, or we bought it at Walmart, I think. And we plug in our lav mics into this, record them separately, and then sync them in post. I'm actually doing that for this video right now. I have a lav mic on me. Can you hear me now? So I have a lav mic on me right now. It's, I think, $29. I'll try to put in the description the link to this lav mic because a lot of people ask me what lav mic we actually use. 29 bucks, pretty sure it's 29 bucks. And yeah, I'll put a link in the description. But yeah, we plug that into these cheap little audio recorders, record them, and then sync them in post. Seems to work out really well. We don't have any like Wi-Fi interference or anything like that. And again, it's like less than 100 bucks for this whole setup to have some nice clean audio on people that you're interviewing. I believe 2019 we're gonna go to like more of a wireless setup, but right now that's what we've been using.
Look, a wild Ben Lin, an Asian boy named Ben, walking through the forest with a camera. Ah, yes. We've caught him in the wild. He appears to be walking towards us. What are we gonna do when he gets closer? Oh. Alright, we better go. We better go.
So next is tripods. We started out by using these Benro tripods. They're like 300 bucks. They're good like entry level tripod. They have like a fluid head on it, so it's supposedly kind of a smooth action movement for trackside stuff and like that. But honestly, they're okay. They're a mediocre tripod. We have two of them, but the main tripod that we use is a Manfrotto. It has a 504 HD head on it. It's a lot smoother action, gets some nice smooth trackside stuff. So that's like our primary tripod, but it's like 600 bucks. So it's nice that we have some cheaper ones if you just want like a stale shot. Now, as far as mounting our cameras in cars, we have a couple different things that we use. We use this Manfrotto super clamp for putting on people's cars that have roll cages and stuff like that for any kind of drag racing events, time attack, stuff like that. This is like a must-have. We use this a lot. And yeah, if you're recording anything that has a roll bar in it, these are definitely the go-to. If it doesn't have a roll bar in it, we have a couple suction cups. We have this, which is like a fairly cheap version of the other cup that we have. It's a 3 suction cup, basically like 3 GoPro mounts on the back, and then you have your regular camera mount on that. So you'll mount this under the windshield like that, with the camera to it like that. Pretty simple setup. Never failed us, which is pretty good. So this is good. And then we also have this one, which is a little bit more expensive. We honestly find the other one works a little bit easier. This is the Manfrotto 241 FB. And then I've got like a pan head on it or something like that. So it's a 2-piece. This was the first suction cup that we used for doing in-car shots and stuff with our GH4s. Obviously, we use the standard GoPro mounts for the GoPros, but we also use this for mounting our audio recorder onto the back of a car. We'll mount it like this. It hasn't fallen off on us yet. It's been on a car probably going like 150 miles an hour and it hasn't come off. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all the mounts that we have. For 2019, I want to use a couple of these super clamps and actually clamp it in a couple different areas. You might have noticed some of our shots are a little bit shaky in car, and that's because these are mounted only with 1 point. So, you know, a lot of vibrations in some of these really fast cars. So I want to add a second mount right here that has like a bar on the top, holds it a little more securely. So look forward to that in 2019. More steady in-car shots. Just about every family get-together that I go to and tell them that I'm a videographer, they always ask, do you have a drone? Yes, we do. Now, we don't really use it that much. We did use it on our big road trip, obviously, because it was good for that. But for the most part, we don't use it because a lot of these racetracks and stuff that we film at don't let you, fly drones without like $3 million licenses and stuff. And it's just a big hassle. It's nice to have some supplementary drone shots, but for the most part, we usually outsource our drone work to other people just because it's such a pain to deal with. But we do have a drone. It's a Phantom 4 Pro. Does a pretty good job. That's all I can say about it. Can't forget lights. These are really cheap. $35, I think, is what we paid for these. We have a couple of these. They're really cheap plastic. We actually dropped this one like the first day we got it, but still works. You use Sony batteries in the back, so that's nice that it uses like camera batteries. But yeah, these are a nice supplementary way to add light on a shoot. They're pretty bright, they're pretty white balanced. It's a newer CN160. Again, they're like 30 bucks or something. Buy like 10 of them. They're nice to have around on shoots. They're very harsh light, so you definitely have to kind of diffuse it and bounce it off of other things, but for the most part, it works pretty well. So there's a couple things we didn't mention in this video, like we use a Rode mic on our cameras, we use a Pelican case to keep our cameras and move them around, we use a low pro bag, a bunch of extra stuff. There's a diffuser we're using up here, but this video would be like 50 minutes long if we went through every little nitpicky thing that we have. So I'm gonna end the video right there. I hope this was interesting to you guys. This is a little bit different than what we normally do. We've been asked enough what kind of camera gear that we shoot with. We're gonna be changing our camera gear a lot. There's some new cameras coming out that we're looking at potentially getting. Gonna be changing up our lenses setup. Really just all new stuff. So thanks to everybody on Patreon who have supported us this far. We have a Patreon page just for camera gear. So the people that have donated there have gone towards this gear to help kind of improve some of the stuff that we've been able to film. So 2019, it's gonna get improved even more. We're basically doubling our gear for 2019. So we should be able to get a lot more interesting shots and a lot better, more clear shots for you guys. Again, camera gear isn't what makes good videography, but it definitely kind of helps convey the message. So 2019 should be a good year for an improvement in video quality, and hopefully you guys can notice that. I'm gonna end this video with a few shots just like the intro. Again, hope you liked the video, and thanks for watching.